in, ladies and gentlemen, to NBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up?
Really like that.
You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome into the Film Guy Network on a beautiful Monday evening. Here's the deal. People pay for safety, okay? A good safe measure, a good safe thought. People will invest in this. It's why insurance companies are created, right? It's why SUVs right now are being purchased at a 2-to-1 rate to regular car sedans. This is a fact that I found out today. Oh, SUV, nice and safe, big car. Ooh, big car safe. Let's buy more of those. Americans, again, are buying those at a 2-to-1 clip to that of sedans. Why? Safety. We are spending more money on safety than ever before. It's like comfort, right? The things we are used to, the things we know, those things provide us a sense of safety, a sense of comfort. And even better yet, when the things we trust and the things we know, when they're successful, useful, solid investments, right? We grow an even fonder attachment to those things. And when those things are dependable and those things treat us well and those things win 12 games in a singular year and those things recruit really well and those things coach at the University of Texas that hasn't seen a 12-win season since 2000 and I had it written down. Anyways, this is what happens when you ad-lib off the notes, boys. Don't do it. Here it is, 2009. Hasn't won 12 games since 2009. So when something safe and productive and useful comes in and wins 12 games for the first time since 2009, you throw a stick, you give it a bone, all right? And that bone being a $10.5 million contract for the next foreseeable future, I think through 2030. And it comes with relatively unique perks, but obviously Texas did what they're supposed to do. When someone comes in and provides safety and provides a solid foundation to your otherwise rattled home, this is a football program that has gone through a litany of turnovers since Mac Brown, right, and has just not been able to find the guy. And everything about Steve Sarkisian's first 3 years at Texas say that he is indeed that guy. So you go do that. Guys, the little fun fact here. Did you know that Texas only has three perfect seasons, 3 undefeated seasons since 1925?
I believe it.
Did not know that.
First of all, it proved to me going undefeated really hard, right? Obviously. Really, really hard. I think Georgia's team was the first, or was that the only team to do it? 80 didn't even go undefeated, did they?
No, they did.
They did. So 80,
They did.
first time, so twice in 42 years.
Yeah.
Georgia did it. So really, really hard to do, going undefeated.
You saying for like Georgia or all of college football?
I'm just, off the top of my head, Georgia's the only stat book I know. Alabama does it relatively often, but that's about it. Clemson, I think, has one of these.
Clemson did it in 2018.
LSU did it once.
in 2019. Bama did it in 2020.
But those aren't. It seems like it happens more often nowadays in college football, but those aren't repetitive things at those programs except for Alabama. But nonetheless, he did something. He did something this year at Texas, that being Sarkeesian, that was worth throwing almost $11 million at.
Sure.
The fun thing about this story to me is all the little knick-knack paddywhacks that he gets with this contract. He gets the $10.5 million per year, but if you check out the breakdown of this, it's very, very interesting. 60% of the contract is set to be paid to Sark Enterprises, okay, bi-monthly, and then 40% will be installed into his, I guess, standard bank account monthly. You got a weird look on your face. I got a weird look on my face. I had a weird look on my face when I read it. It's like, first of all, Sark Enterprises, a little close to Stark Industries.
Yeah,
that's what I was about to
very
say.
close to Tony Stark.
Very, very close to Stark Industries. Is this man going to take over the world kind of deal? Other than
Building
that,
a super suit.
yeah, super suit. Other than that, it's a little funny business going on to avoid the tax man, I would imagine. But Texas, a state with no income, state income tax, right?
You don't have to be. You aren't taxed for living in the state. I don't believe.
No
whereas
property tax.
Yeah, no
California, you
property
have to pay a
tax.
property tax. Like it's like
Okay.
15%, which
Yeah.
is
All right.
crazy.
So that's dope. But you still have to pay income tax.
I believe so.
I think most states have income taxes.
Florida does not.
Yeah, Florida does not.
Is that the only one? Surely it's not.
It's the only one I can think of.
Okay.
Yeah, there's probably more, but I can't think of off the top of my head.
Tax codes, they're cool, but the splitting of the money between an it's an incorporation, it's Inc. too, not an LLC.
Yeah.
It's an incorporated business that the Sark Enterprise has going on out there. He also gets 2 dealer cars. Now I don't know if those are like leases. I would imagine they're leases that he gets to renew every time he wants a new one. This you would imagine is some booster that owns a dealership locally that wants to say Sark is driving a car. So there's that. He also gets an immediate $300,000 bonus set to be paid within the next 2 weeks. So that was dope. Little cash advance. 300K bonuses are a sweet lick. You know, never had one, but that would be nice. He also has an opportunity for $1.85 million in contract incentives every single year. So he can win an additional $2 million if he just wins a natty, which is not outside the realm for Texas at all. Oh, and by the way, just cherry on top, 2 cherries on this milkshake here. 1, 20 hours a year. They don't roll over. 20 hours per year usage of the private jet. Whose private jet? I don't know. You would imagine one of the 3 billionaires that hand money over to the football program. So that's cool. You don't think the school owns a private jet?
I mean, they might. To fly, I don't know if the president gets flown out and stuff like that. I don't know about the university workings, but
somebody's private jet getting licked for 20 hours this year by the Sarkisian family.
Yes.
Also gets up to 20 tickets for home games, 8 for road games. Sark family rolls deep, apparently. And this is my favorite because he has so much time available. He got a country club membership, so shouts out.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll get used up ample amount during the year.
What was y'all's favorite one of these?
I thought
the private jet's kind of like a standard op now. It seems like.
Yeah.
And since Tommy Herman, the private jet's a standard operation. It sounds like.
Yeah, I left at the golf course one just because I was like, that was definitely something they just slapped on there to make it look extra expensive or extra nice for him. But in reality, like we just mentioned, Sarkeesian is not just every weekend hitting the links with his buddies or anything like that to use up that golf membership.
What this is I guarantee you that's it's guaranteed to be the nicest course in Austin.
Yeah.
And what it is it's probably like a $30,000 a year membership.
Yep.
And Sark's probably like, I only get to play 4 times a year. F you, you're picking that up. I'm not going to waste $30,000 because I only get to play 3 rounds of golf. But if I play 3 rounds of golf, whenever I have time to do so, by God, I'm playing there. And you better be taking care of that. So I'm sure that's what the old hefty man, Jimmy Sexton, got done for him out there in that contract. So the country club membership is dope. The $3,000 cash advance is it's borderline. It's not criminal. It's not illegal, but it is criminal behavior. Like in the sense that a criminal would definitely demand payment up front.
Yeah.
A criminal would definitely walk up to you and be like, hey, I'm going to need $300 cash up front now. Sweet lick. Give me one of them big checks. You got one of them big checks? I'll take that.
Yeah, shout out Billy
Ricky,
Madison.
it's got glitter on it.
Nah, I mean, just the thought of just immediately getting $300K off rip just for signing a contract is crazy.
It reminds me of that story that Joe Burrow told when he was the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, and they were asking, so how does that signing bonus work? Like, you sign your contract,
up with $30 million.
And he was like, yeah, you go to bed, and the next morning you got $30 million in your bank account or whatever amount it is. He's like, sick. It's pretty sweet, but...
Now, flip that on his head for a college athlete that, if you're – here we go. Williams Nwaneri, right? Mm-hmm. Since August – Williams Nwaneri has been making whatever his NIL payment was set to be at Missouri, right? Because they have that state law now. He's an in-state signee, committed to his in-state program up there. Whatever Missouri is paying him, he is getting that in monthly installments starting in August as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old kid. So just imagine you at home, whatever you're making, okay? We don't got pocket watch on you, but let's say you make let's say you're a teacher. I don't know what teachers make, about 70, 75 nowadays, 60, 65, around that. Okay, let's say you just get that slapped into your bank account every month, right? And you're 18 years old. One day you wake up, I don't know Williams, background. You're even medium level income. You ain't got to strive for nothing. You ain't got to hurt for nothing. You got nice shoes on your feet. Mama gets you food when you need it. You got gas in your car. medium level of income. You are middle America as a child.
Yeah.
Here's $60K.
You're getting
My fucking head would explode.
you're getting that a month and you don't have any bills to pay or anything. Like,
Nothing.
you're just getting that
Nothing.
money that you can use for leisure or whatever
Yeah.
else that you want.
A Lambo truck.
Yeah.
I would do nothing good with that money.
No,
Yeah,
hell
no.
no. I would do nothing productive with that at all. So yeah, I hope kids or young men, I should say, are out here doing smart things. But who cares? All right, I want to play a game right quick. Sarkeesian, Sarkees out. Okay.
Okay.
And this is basically this coach or that coach.
Okay.
Are you Sarkeesian or are you Sarkees out? Sark or Brian Kelly? Sarkeesian, Sarkees out.
Like, wait,
Sarkeesian.
are you saying like
So if you say Sarkeesian, you think he's better than the guy I say. If you say Sarkees out, you think the other guy's better.
Sarkeesian?
Yeah. I think
I'm Sarkees out here.
Really?
I think Kelly is the most underrated football coach in America because he's a goofball, and that's okay. That's okay. But I think we're going to find out, especially defensively this year. But bothers me that they don't know Garrett Nussmeier is such a dude that they had to go out and get AJ Swan from Vanderbilt, and they think that's quality like competition. That scares me for their quarterback room off of what we just saw them depart from that room. But yeah, I think Brian Kelly is the most criminally underrated football coach in America right now, and I don't love him. Don't get me wrong, I do not love him though. We said on SEC, you guys didn't y'all didn't get to go to SEC Media Days this year. Y'all were up there with me, though. And I came back saying, you know what? Brian Kelly won the day today. Brian Kelly was up in front of that room actually giving a shit.
Yeah.
Which, believe it or not, was not guaranteed during those events.
I think Brian Kelly's a great coach. The only reason why I would lean to Sarkeesian more in this scenario is because obviously an offensive-minded guy, that's kind of what the game is geared towards. And I think he's just a better fit for the modern-day college football, and especially moving forward now. I feel like he's got the more momentum.
I think the ceiling for Brian Kelly is also lower than Sark.
Or has already been peaked.
Yeah.
Been scratched.
Like, I don't. Who's to say? I mean, Brian Kelly's best days as a coach might be behind him.
Sark or Dabo? Sarkeesian, Sarkees out.
Sarkeesian, yeah.
I think Dabo is. I don't know what Dabo's going to do, dude.
Y'all Dabo deaden?
It's just
Here's the thing. I will tell you this right now. If Clemson wins another title, I will come on this show and say that is the best coaching job ever done because they do not have the talent.
No.
I'm sorry. Unless their way of evaluating and developing is just way better than anybody who evaluates players. And I don't believe that to be true. I do not believe that to be true. I believe what to be true is, they take 7 or 8 guys annually from the state of Georgia, and all 7 or 8 of those guys, not all of them, but I would say 75% of those kids that they take from this area are non-takes at Alabama. They're non-takes at Georgia. They're non-takes at the premier programs that were Sarkeesian and Sarkees Outen, right? Texas, LSU, right? The big boys. So they have a very interesting way of going about selecting talent, and they have for a long time. And he got away with it for a long time because he had, Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence running his program for a total of, 6 years?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good 6 years.
Because there was no overlap
there
between either of those two. So
Well, there was like a 4-game overlap where Kelly. Well, there was a 1-year overlap, I think.
No, because Trevor Lawrence started as a freshman.
Started as a true freshman.
And then there was a Kelly Bryant gap.
Yeah, there was a Kelly Bryant gap year, but Trevor Lawrence walked in and started as a true freshman.
That's
He
what
only
it
played
was.
3 years in college and won a natty as a true freshman.
Yes.
So there's that. So y'all are Sarkeesian there. I'm dead on the Dabo because I know what the talent structure looks like, and that concerns me, particularly on the lines of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Look at Clemson offensive linemen; they look like me, and that's not okay. So yeah, Sarkeesian or Ryan Day? Sarkeesian, Sarkees out.
Taking Ryan Day.
Sarkees out.
That's a tough one.
It's not
You're a
tough
big
for me.
Sark fan.
It's
finding
not
out.
tough
I
for
like
me
Sark.
in that
I think-
scenario.
Big Sark fan.
Well, I also think just like the 3 other coaches you've named right now, just like they've shown that they're past their prime. But I would take Ryan Day in that scenario. I think Ryan Day has been a good decision or two away from at least competing in a national title game or being in the national title.
or a good kick.
That too.
I think these last 4 are really good. I'll start with the one I know that this is a softball. Sark or Kiffin?
Sark.
Sark.
All right, that was a softball. Sark or Kyle Whittingham?
if you were to hire Kyle Whittingham, it wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, we just got Kyle Whittingham, but he's a really good football coach. I feel like I'd still lean maybe Sarkeesian.
I'd probably lean Sark too.
Modern times.
Yeah.
Which is honestly crazy.
And where are we hiring the guy? Are we hiring
Yeah.
the guy? Are we hiring the guy at a recruiting predominant? Like we have to be dudes here.
Mm-hmm.
We have a massive booster base. Like go sign 5 stars. Or are we hiring him at Utah?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like where he fits, he is a better coach than where Sark's at. He is producing more, in my opinion. But he doesn't have the access to the means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think destination absolutely matters in that
Can
scenario.
we call this a push?
I would call it a
Yeah.
push.
I
I'm
feel
cool with
fair
that.
calling that a push. All right, here we go. 2 good ones to close it. Sark or DeBoer? Remember,
man.
DeBoer got him. Fresh
Yeah.
off a win. Fresh off a dub here.
Jeez. Honestly, I would go DeBoer in this scenario because like if you can get if you not only did he beat Sarkeesian in their one matchup, but he did it with less talent, and that tells me that maybe in that scenario, in future scenarios, DeBoer's a better coach than Sarkeesian is in the big stage.
How many times can that guy beat better football teams?
I mean,
You
he
know
got
what I mean?
Oregon twice
Yeah.
too.
Oregon twice, beat Texas. I would argue, you're splitting hairs the rest of the Pac-12 rosters, I would imagine. But
I mean, let's
a lot of games with a lot less talent.
let's also be fair. Like he had 2 stud NFL wide receivers.
Oh, for sure.
3, I would imagine.
And a
I would
and a
argue.
quarterback that very well could have won the Heisman. So it's
Yeah.
not like Washington was a slappy team.
No.
My worry with Kalen DeBoer is that you're not going to get that roster every year. You're not going to get a Michael Penix every year. You're not going to get a Rome Odunze every year. So I mean, I would lean Texas in that aspect. But the problem is with Sark, like we always say pump the brakes on Drinkowitz because he only had 1 year. I mean,
Yeah.
Sark's really
Yes.
only had 1 great year as well.
Here's my pushback on that. It's been progression.
Yes.
5-7, 8-5,
That's
bunch
what
of
it
tight
was.
losses, right?
Mhm.
I think all 5 of those losses within 7 points.
Lost
They're
your
one-score
quarterback.
losses.
Yeah.
Right? Lost your quarterback midseason. It's a great point, and managed to, chicken salad out of chicken shit with Hudson
Right.
Carr, if we're
No
being
doubt.
honest. And then this year, the 12-2. So I think it's a little bit different. But I'm with
Right.
you on the, hey, we need year 2.
Mhm.
We need another round of this. All right, last one. Sark or Lanning?
Lanning.
Oh yeah, I would go Lanning.
That was very quick.
Yeah.
I think that's some bias. I think that's some.
well,
No, I
our
love
boy
Dan Lanning, but I
Man
mean-
just came on.
I do love Dan Lanning, but in his second year, he was pretty much 6 points away from having an undefeated season. And the only
Yeah.
team he lost to was to the team that went to the national championship game.
I think Lanning does every aspect of what college football is now. I think he's elite at every single aspect that you could ask of a head coach. Getting the transfer portal kids, recruiting, getting buy-in from your players,
Staff
coaching.
replacement.
The only thing is in-game decisions really that kind of feel like maybe the kind of hold back on Lanning. I feel like he checks almost every single box that you could ask for.
Is it crazy to say that Dan Lanning is the Dan Campbell of college football?
In terms of aggressiveness on 4th down,
No, just like he goes
he's
goes
the one
all
we
out
point
on his
to on 4th down decisions.
like he's the one who's like we're going all like we're trusting our guys, we're going all out, and he's kind of got a similar energy about him where it's like we're bringing toughness back.
I mean, it's not a terrible comp. I don't love it. I feel like Dan's wittier.
Which one?
Oh yeah, right. Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
Bro, but they're both caffeine intake is a monstrosity on both of them. I think this take needs more cultivating.
Yeah.
I think you need to leave it in the oven a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But you're on to something. There, that dough has begun to rise for sure on that take. Welcome to tonight's show. We got a loaded one for you. This is our national hour, okay? So we got a couple national topics we want to talk to you guys about tonight. Keon Saab in the portal. We have a prospect of the day for you guys, which means one of our commenters is going to be mad because Brooksy doesn't have pants on today. I got shorts on. So folks are going to be in the comments telling us that's why we don't have premier sponsorships, even though we do, which we'll have a read for that in just a second. Kentucky's got a new OC hire that I'm going to make the boys hold my feet to the fire about something. Reading about this dude and understanding who this new hire is, I have made a life decision, I think. So we're going to be held to that, and we're going to ask the audience to hold me to that. And we are going to, one of my favorite segments here that we've done recently, we're going to build an ultimate team. We're going to take, you know how people build like the Franken quarterback, where they be out here taking the brain of Peyton Manning, putting it on the legs of Mike Vick, with the arm of Patrick Mahomes, with the heart of Doug Flutie. You know what I mean? Where they're out here doing that kind of thing. We're going to do that with college football and try to build the ultimate Franken program on tonight's program. But first, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Prize Picks. If you have not already, run over right now. Not right now. Stay on the show tonight. Run over tonight. PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. Sign up over there today, and you will get a 100% deposit match. What does that mean? You put up to $100. You will get matched instantly with $100 right there in your account. Again, PrizePicks.com. Use promo code Brooks. You will not regret it. All right, let's head over to Keon Saab. All right, Keon Saab, for those of you who don't know, committed to Clemson originally out of IMG Academy. Borderline 5-star, I think, was a top 30, top 40 caliber football player, if my memory serves me. He eventually decommitted about, I think 10 days before National Signing Day 2 years ago from Clemson, and then committed to Michigan. This is a 6'2", 200-pounder that everybody was in on. All right, I'm talking the big boys were in on this one from Jump Street as well. Was a high-level football player throughout his preparatory career, right? Started as a true freshman in New Jersey, was the best player in New Jersey by the time he left to go spend his senior year at IMG Academy, was then immediately one of the better and more highly sought-after football players on that roster in a defensive backcourt at the time that had just loaded guys from top to bottom. We're talking about, this is Elias Robinson's, I think, Ellis Robinson, I don't know why I call him Elias, Ellis Robinson's sophomore year, where they got like Ellis Robinson out there, Jonah Aguero out there, the youngest of the Ricks boys out there, just all Keon Saab playing safety as well, just a litany of 5 stars and soon to be 5 stars out there, and this was one of the better ones. He got to Michigan and earned playing time relatively soon towards the end of his freshman year. I consider any freshman playing time, you earned early playing time, in my opinion. So that's just a show statement right there. And then his sophomore year, this past year, was one of Michigan's better back-end players in a defensive backfield that was littered with NFL football players, right? Saren still was the guy that he basically was kind of trading off with, and he ultimately went on to start, I think, 5 games this year and played in all 14. Boys, this is going to be and has already been, since he's entered the portal, one of the more highly sought-after football players. I think within 24 hours he heard from 18 schools, and it would have been much, much more, except for, I would imagine, many schools know that they don't have a damn shot here. This will be a big boy recruitment. I've rattled off a couple of programs here, just looking off the list of schools that have contacted him. UGA, Bama, Oklahoma, Oregon, Colorado, Tennessee, Florida State, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Penn State. So basically all the big boys, like we mentioned. No Texas in the mix there. And here's what I want to say. And here's what I don't know much about the guy. I've never been around him. I've studied him, obviously. But you commit to Clemson. You sign at Michigan. Georgia was in the running heavy. Bottom line, I don't think this is about money. I don't think there is a decision being made right here with Keon Saab's recruitment about money, not based off the schools in his past that he's shown drastic interest in, because it ain't the players. It's none of the big players, which at this point, through 2 years of NIL, we know who you are.
Mm-hmm. I think that just says a lot about it's a guy who wants to play football and is concerned with getting true development and being an NFL prospect rather than kind of this quick hit where, yeah, you're going to get a couple 100,000, maybe even $1 million if you go to a certain school, but long term, what is that going to do for you?
Or do you play it as, I took the developmental, trust the process, don't take the money route the first time, I got to go get my lick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or do you treat it like that this time around? Because, you know, we're going to have some kids out here like, I mean, not to call names out, but like DJ Uyunglele is going to make more money in college than he will in pro ball. Like, we know that. Cam Ward might be one of these guys.
Yeah.
He's going to make more money as a college football quarterback than he ever will as a pro quarterback. Apparently, Talio Tungavaloa was one of these that passed up life-changing money to go back to Maryland last year and now doesn't really have a home. I think based off he got the additional year of eligibility, but no one's picking him up. Very weird situation.
I didn't think he got the additional year.
Didn't. Got declined.
Yeah.
I don't think he got. I think he originally said he was coming back, and then the NCAA was like, "No, you're not."
So now we're shrine bowling. I think is what ended up happening there. So yeah, but nonetheless, you're going to have this happen pretty often.
At least for Michigan, that's really like one of the more notable players that you've lost to the portal so far. Still holding on to quite a few, but that's just to say until the spring window opens up, and then you might have a few more dip out on you. So, I mean, but also of like the names and the schools that you rattled off, like none of those programs really like scream major NIL, to be honest. So to me, it doesn't feel like that's still. I mean, Penn State obviously would be closer to where he was originally.
And the Volunteers in that mix there now.
Yeah, that's true, for sure. But I mean, a lot of schools that I could think of that probably would need a safety could use a Keon or could use him.
All right, so I'm looking at it right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Six since he announced he was headed to the Chargers. So not a ton. Darius Clemens, a sophomore. Matthew Hibner, looks like a graduate transfer. Not going to be that big of a deal. Noah Stewart, same thing. Reese Atterbury, bunch of offensive linemen. They look like that. Amarian Walker, transferring to Ole Miss, 6'4" corner. That looks like a guy that is a projectable football player. But yeah, Keon Saab's the lone dude that they have lost in the portal. So be interesting to see where he goes. I think he's a really good football player, obviously.
I think he was one of the names that I feel like I remember from the Michigan defense during the national title game. I feel like I kept hearing his name pop up quite a few times.
Big kid, 6'2", 205, moves really, really well. Smart guy, smart football player. He can be an NFL guy, I think, as well. As is this next guy. Okay, went to the Under Armour event yesterday. Saw 250 of the Southeast's best players. I'm going to say this, and I tweeted about it today. I can't stand watching highly rated kids not take reps at these events, man. Like, why y'all – first of all, we know what we're going to see. We're going to see you run a 40, do a broad jump, do a 5-10-5, do a vertical, okay, get measured, and then go over there and do some one-on-ones. That's it. That's all we're there to see. And if we're just going to show up and not, maybe take a rep, maybe not take a rep, whatever, why are we here? That kind of thing. Like, get your butt in there and take some daggum reps. I'll tell you a story about a specific player that is a no-go, strict no-go for this channel. I don't care if he ends up being an NFL player. I'm going to stand on it. I'm like, it's not going to work. I will stay. My brother did this with Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper was in my brother's draft class coming out of high school.
Yeah.
And my brother was a top 200 catcher. Mm-hmm. And he was like, that fucking Bryce Harper sucks. And I'm like, really, though? He hit like a 530-foot home run, dog. It's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like, he can't be bad.
Yeah.
No, he's terrible. Like, even when he got to pro ball, he was like, he's awful. I'm like, Blake, his first career game, he hit a daggum dinger, like 460 off a dude. He's like, no, he's terrible. Anyways, Hall of Fame career later, he still sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this with this guy that I'm going to tell you about after the show. Even if he turns out to be an all-pro, I will stand on the table of I'm not signing up for that.
All right.
Where were we at?
Wait, would you tell us the story and not give the name?
On the show?
Yeah.
No, because everyone that was at the event will know exactly who I'm talking about. It was that bad.
Okay.
It was that bad.
Okay.
What was I talking about?
You're talking about the player that you're about to.
Yes.
The one who.
This guy, rep pound. Rep pounds are important as well. I want to see you go out there and steal reps from folks. I want to see you go out there and coach you be like, hey, 53, can't take no more reps, dog. Like, we got to hold you off. Let somebody else get some eat out here. Everybody trying to eat today. Let somebody else get some food. I want to see a rep hound. This guy for 2 straight years has been a rep hound at this event. Daryl Johnson, a.k.a. he goes by Duke Johnson. He is from Dodge County, Georgia. This is Southeast Georgia. This is off of 75. This is over here, which P.S., we're going to see some monsters in the Southeast Georgia ranks this year on our spring tour. We'll talk a little bit more about that after we watch this individual football player. But for 2 straight years at this Under Armour event, guy's been a strap. I mean, an absolute strap, has not allowed anything in an event where the running back's supposed to win. Like, they put you right next to the quarterback. There's 14 yards between you and the linebacker, and you got all the green grass in the world to go run to. The linebacker should lose those reps, I'm here to tell you, okay? Every single time. Not every time. Most of the time, that linebacker should lose those reps. This guy has not lost one that I've seen in the last couple of years. He is an extremely long football player. He's listed at about 6'2", 200 pounds. He looks very, very thin in his frame, but he carries it really, or he moves really fluidly for a really long football player. Currently has offers from Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, Florida, Oregon, basically everybody in the country except for Georgia. And I think we need to find out why. So let's go check the tape. Again, in-state product. This kid's from the state of Georgia, all right, and has no UGA offer. Why? Okay, I talked to a former or a current recruiting coordinator in this conference that told me yesterday they think this guy's the best player in the country, best position player in the country. No offer from Georgia. Give me 1 second, boys. You know, sometimes you got to produce yourself. Anyways, so no offer from Georgia. Why? What's going on here? Keep it close because we're going to stare at the tape here for a while because he's way off out here on the edge of the box every single time. Big number 15, and you're going to see a big, explosive, violent athlete. Okay? He's about that. Say what?
The catamounts.
Yeah. And this was the clip I saw. I was like, oh, damn, he'd be moving. You know what I mean? Like that dude covered ground violently right there. And here's where you see what I'm talking about that I've seen in camp settings. Very vertical, okay? Very vertical. Everything we do, we are very tall. We don't have a ton of, there's knee drive there, but the chest and the shoulders play up at all times. He plays all of 6'2" very often, okay? But he got the go-go juice, okay? He is an athlete's athlete for sure. Okay, out there playing on the edge again. Great job on the read option, taking the quarterback. Now we're out here basically playing corner. We're going to bump and press and take our guy completely inside and then stick the running back as well. Here we are playing edge again. All right, we're going to bump off, read what's happening with the running back, and then pursue down. Same kind of clip here outside at the corner position playing the point man. I would imagine this team ran a bunch of this formation. See a lot of this in high school football nowadays where, hey, I like what Tennessee did with this, so we're going to spread everybody out outside the box. We're going to try to get everybody out here, right? We're going to do the same thing. I think that X is all the way over there by himself. So basically we're going to take 2 defenders here and 1 defender here, and we're going to play now, what's that, 8? We're going to play 8 on 8 with the quarterback, and we're going to do it inside the box, where hopefully we lighten you up, okay? But it doesn't really matter if, Duke Johnson takes his guy all the way into the play right here and still manages to stick your running back, which is it is what happens right here if I remember correctly. Yeah. Okay. Here he is shedding a block. I think you're going to see some pursuit here. I always see from great players in high school football just the complete disinterest. Watch how casually he throws this guy off of his body. Watch this.
Jeez.
And then he just continues to pursue the football.
He didn't even throw him, he slung him.
Yeah. One more time for the people at home because I know you can see it really clear. He's just like, get off me. You know what I mean? All right, so as we're watching here, guys, I want you to start thinking like, hey, why is there no Georgia offer here? What is going on? Again, this is like the bread and butter of Georgia recruiting. We got to be hammering in-state kids, right? We can't be passing up on great players from our state if we believe they're great players, and not necessarily passing. We can't even miss if we think they're a great player, okay? Because everything on the tape says, wow, right? 6'2", 200 pounds, tremendous athlete. Hey, maybe there's even some options to play him at safety. I've heard some guys that I trust in this industry and in the recruiting circles believe that, hey, there's a possibility that he might be able to do something like that, right? You see clips like that and you see why. But he's playing closer to the line of scrimmage and closer to the box kind of at all times. So my question to you boys, through watching 2 minutes of a 9-minute highlight tape, what's he missing? Where is the avoidance here? Because this seems to me like what would be a linebacker that could connote a 5-star ranking based off the tape and the measurables and the performances at events, major events like the Under Armour event.
The only knock I really have on the film, and this is something so technical that would get fixed at whatever D1 school you go to, is his feet die on contact almost every time.
Leaner
at
contact.
That's not that big of a deal.
Toes. Huh?
Like that's not that big of a deal.
No,
like, you can
not
fix
huge.
that.
We
That's
can fix
fixed
that.
month 1 when you get on campus.
We don't even have to fix that in pads. I can fix that on the Power Clean platform. If I teach you to catch power cleans correctly, you will never play chest over toes. I was thinking about this the other day. I guarantee you I can walk through a weight room and watch you power clean and tell you who's not only the most flexible athletes, but probably the best athletes. I think the best athletes are great power cleaners, and they never are in bad body positions from top to bottom. Nick Chubb, tremendous power cleaner, okay, and is never in a bad body position. But keep going. What else do we think we're missing here? Because I have thoughts, and they're not sourced. I have reasoning to believe why I would avoid this kid if I were Georgia.
The only thing that I could really come up with after watching that is maybe an internal thing with Georgia in the sense of we've recruited the linebacker spots so heavily over these last few years that maybe we're taking it a little lighter this next class, and we simply just don't have room for a kid.
And like Tyler Atkinson's in 2026. You can't afford to miss on that one. He's the best linebacker to come through Georgia in quite some time.
Yeah, and you already have Perlotti committed as well
in the 25 class. So there's some reasons for room, right?
Right.
Here's my only thought. It's the only thing I could come to think of today. Way too thin for their measurements. Mm-hmm. He's 200 pounds, 205 pounds. They you about 225, 230. The speed's not a problem. The athleticism is not a problem.
Not at all.
But here's what is, okay? Not a single clip of him playing inside linebacker.
No, I was going to say it's
no
a lot,
off-ball development.
It's a
here.
lot of edge rushes.
And it's a lot of, hey, we're going to have to teach the guy to play inside the box, and he's got to gain 30 pounds. That is a fear for me as a program that has not shown an ability to do that. Okay, they have not shown an ability to take a 6'2" guy who plays out on the edge at 200 pounds, and now we're going to project him inside. Hey, he's this great athlete, Xavier Sorey. Maybe Xavier Sorey has caused some hesitations here. We couldn't figure that one out. Why are we guaranteeing that we're going to figure the next one out? But everything else at every other position, they take these gambles.
Yeah.
They're like, we're great. We're the greatest coaching staff in America. We can do these things. Here's what I've also settled on. If Glenn Schumann says no, then you just trust the no.
Right. And I mean, his proof of concept is pretty tried and true.
Well,
like
100%.
Like you don't really
verified.
Yeah, like you don't really have to say like why is Schumann not taking this guy? If Schumann's not taking him, obviously there's a reason for it. So I think that's probably one of it as well. Schumann sees something, like you said, he's too thin right now.
Something.
Yeah. So obviously.
It's got to be something.
If you're the only one.
Yeah. Really the only one.
Yeah.
The only one in America that's like, we're good.
Hell of an athlete, though.
What? Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I talked to an SEC staffer yesterday that was like, we're going to play him at safety. Watch this. kind of deal. And you talking about a complete, 180 from playing style, rushing the edge in high school to now going to college and backing up and playing safety. Ooh.
Very interesting.
It would take some developmental time right there. Hey, we have a lot of people watching right now for a Tuesday or a Monday in the quote-unquote off-season. Make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button, okay? Make sure you're liking this video and sharing it with your friends. This is I was telling somebody the other day, and you guys know this that have found this channel. This is a homegrown operation. You know what I mean? Like we're crossing over 22,000 or pushing towards 22,000 subscribers with no, I don't want to name names, but no ESPN backing, no CBS backing, no FanDuel backing. We got our homies at Prize Picks, but we ain't out here taking the on-3 cash. We ain't out here taking it's just us, homies. It's just us and a handful of cameras that we purchased and some in-house producing. Okay, we ain't got no fancy producers. We got my boy over there on the switcher. We got my boy over there on the comments, and that's it. That's it. We homegrown ops out here. So make sure you're hitting that thumbs up button. Make sure you like and subscribing and telling your friends, okay? The only growth comes through our work and your spreading of the word. That's it, okay? Again, there ain't no major push. We ain't out here on billboards. The Daily Wire didn't come and grab us. All right, it's just us.
Daily Wire.
Okay? They do sports.
They do.
Only sports. So, yeah. Make sure you're telling your friends. Make sure you're bringing them on to this good. Where are we going next? We did Prospect of the Day. We already watched. We're already at 41 minutes. I want to talk about why I'm not getting into coaching.
Why aren't you
Tell
getting
us,
into
why are you
coaching?
not getting into coaching?
At what? Wait. At what level?
College football.
Okay.
I'm done on college football. And I wrote all these notes and didn't even get my man's name. I told you my man's name over and over again. Do you remember it from pre-show?
For what, this reason? Or?
The Kentucky head coach. Kentucky offensive coordinator.
Something Ham. It is
Ham.
Ham.
Bush Hamden.
Yeah.
And Bush Hamden looks nothing like the Bush Hamden that you're picturing in your head right now. If you have a picture of Bush Hamden in your head, I guarantee you it is not what you think it is. So Google Bush Hamden for me, and as a collective audience, we will have this reaction together. I will give you about 7 seconds.
Bush Hamden sounds like a beer.
Bush Hamden does sound like a beer. Bush Hamden looks like he chooses to shoot arrows over rifles to kill his deer.
Looks like the name looks like, or he actually looks like?
No. Bush Hamden, just the name.
Okay.
If I think of Bush Hamden, I envision an arrow shooter. You know what I'm saying? Bush Hamden thinks you're a PUSSY for dipping nicotine pouches instead of the real thing. You know what I'm saying? The name Bush Hamden. Bush Hamden don't look like a guy who chews tobacco. The real Bush Hamden. But nonetheless, Bush Hamden hired as the offensive coordinator at Kentucky. And I just want to read to you guys some fun facts about Bush Hamden. First of all, he has made 12 coaching moves since the year 2009. Okay? So since 2009, this man with a wife and 3 children, a man with a wife and 3 children has moved, 12 times in 14 years. Okay, and I'm going to read these to you because it's not just, hey, I'm bouncing around the SEC. Nah, man. This dude has been moving like East Coast, West Coast for the last 14 years. In 2009, he got his start as a football coach, as a student coach at Colorado. Immediately in 2010, he took a QC job with Maryland. So he went from Colorado to Maryland. The next year in 2011, he flew all the way back across the country and took a tight ends coaching job at Sacramento State. Then in 2012, became the wide receivers coach at Florida. Okay. Then took the co-OC job and the quarterback's job at Arkansas State. So just traveled like 12 hours up, the southeast, okay? Then took a job in North Carolina at Davidson as the offensive coordinator QC job, or quarterback's job. Then went from North Carolina in Davidson all the way back to Washington to become the quality control assistant at Washington. Then became the wide receivers coach in 2016 at Washington. Then in 2017 followed Sark to Atlanta. So we're from Seattle back to Atlanta. So we've East Coast, West Coast now twice in our career, flip-floppities. All right. Oh, and it gets better. Then we go from Washington to Missouri in 2020. And for the first time since 2009, we spend multiple seasons in one place. Okay. We spent a good 3 years at Missouri being the wide receivers coach and the quarterbacks coach, and then just being the quarterbacks coach. And then in 2023, we moved from the Southeast, okay, at Missouri, if you want to call that. We call that Middle America, essentially, all the way to Boise, which is back West Coast. And now from Boise, obviously, to his new home in Lexington, Kentucky. So, boys, here's what I got to thinking. Mr. Bush Hamden ain't the only coach whose bio looks like this. Matter of fact, we had one on with our show last week whose bio looks exactly like this. I think Dan's made 7 moves in 9 years.
About that, yeah.
9 years ago, Dan Lanning was a graduate assistant, meaning he was making no money 9 years ago. A graduate assistant at Alabama. And that was like his 5th move, or like his 5th move of his college coaching career. It was like Pitt, Arizona State, UTSA, Alabama. Head coach 5 years later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it.
No, I mean,
I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I'm not signing my family up for this.
And you're working 60 hours a week.
The working, I'm fine. I do not mind. I matter of fact, I would be, you guys, you know I am. Like, I can't sit still. I'm not trying to do it. Yeah. I love my family. I do. I cherish every moment I have with them. But I'm not a man who like just adores vacation. Like, you can keep it. If you give me something that I love and you tell me I get to work 80 hours at it, I'm good with it. Like, we're
for
fine
sure
with that. And coaching football would be one of those things for me. It is very much so a fulfillment for me. It's a thing that brings me joy when I'm around it. But yeah, college football can kiss it with regards to being a position coach. chasing a dream of being a head coach and get out of here.
Especially when you were talking about Colorado, Maryland, Sacramento State.
Yeah.
Davidson, like this wasn't perennial, like consistent Power 5 teams. It was up and down the ladder, all around the country. That's a lot to go through, man.
So just general analysis here, like because Brock Vandegrift and our Georgia fan base, this matters for them. Just general analysis here for you. You coach at that many different programs. You see that many different types of football. You see that many different types of players. You have a Sark background. There ain't a type of quarterback that this dude probably hasn't seen, you would imagine, right?
No, for real.
So there's probably a variety of different offenses that he's comfortable with. This is probably a chef that just knows how to cook with anything in the kitchen, right? I don't know how successfully he cooks because man's constantly moving. And that's another point. Can you possibly be a great coordinator if you've been bouncing around like this?
Yeah, he might be able to make a bunch of different things in the kitchen, but it sounds like a whole lot of casseroles. Like sometimes it's great, but then you get fed it too often. It's like, I'm good on casseroles, man. Don't want no more of it.
I mean, I think there's that, and I think there's also guys that just want to be journeymen. Like Todd Monken's one of these guys to me, where it's like he's never stayed at a place more than 3 years.
But Monk's always seeking improvement. This guy like seeking a new title.
Right.
Like it's in the comments. Is he title jumping? No. Because he's just jumping from, like, if you look at the bio, it's quarterbacks coach, co-OC, quarterbacks coach, offensive coordinator. And, like, that's it. There is no I'm seeking a head coaching job. This is I'm following buddies around or I'm following opportunities around as an OC. And I don't know the history of whether or not these are, like, there's not a lot of demotions there. It's a lot of side job hopping.
Right.
I don't know how many times this guy's been fired. I don't think there has been.
Well, I guess the good news from Brock Vandegrift's standpoint, you need 2 years, and maybe you can. But 2 years.
Ideally one.
Yeah, ideally one, though. Yeah, for sure.
Wouldn't that be wild if Carson and Brock ended up in the same draft class?
Oh, man.
That would be crazy. And Brock was drafted over him? Oh, my God.
Oh,
Fire
God.
Kirby.
Don't let Georgia fans even think about that.
Don't even let them get it in
Don't
their
entertain
head.
it.
Yeah. But nah, just a very interesting career arc for that gentleman and something that I want no part of. All right, let's build a perfect football team. And you know what? I never thought those initial segments would take 48 minutes, but they did.
Look at us.
Yeah, look at us. We're getting too good at this. But let's build a perfect football team. Here's the categories. Ready? We're going to go colors, all right, general color scheme. Then we're going to go sponsors. So whether it be Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, or Jordan. Those are the 4 categories we gave you. Then we have a mascot. That's both live and what do you call those guys in the suit?
Just
guys in the suit, mascot suits.
costume.
Okay, so both actual animal and the homeboy in the suit or the homegirl in the suit. Then we have the city, so the location of the football program, the stadium, the coach, and what we're calling the 1.1, meaning you get 1 overall draft pick, the number 1 draft pick to build your program around. Who's it going to be? Who wants to go first? I'm going last.
You're going last.
Do we want to just do it like a round robin like we did last time? Just go by category?
I think it's better to go all at once so that you can get a better picture overall.
I got kind of a theme as well around my program.
You can go first.
Just go ahead.
All right, so my color scheme is going to be the Tulane Green Wave, that blue with that light green. I wanted UNC, but someone picked that already.
The powder blues that they got is a pretty sweet.
Powder blue, I think, is one of the best colors in college. Like Ole Miss does it well, but I just don't like the designs as much. UNC would be my first choice, but Tulane's very good. My brand sponsor is Nike. I mean, they're all things football. It's Nike. Visors, towels, gloves, all of the above. It's perfect.
For sure.
Head coach, you got to go Kirby Smart. He's probably the number 1 guy right now. He's got the highest trajectory, things such as that.
What a basic answer.
I mean, he's the best coach right now, dude. Can't do anything about that. For my mascot, I went the Florida State Seminoles mascot.
Ooh.
Having Chief Osceola out there as your mascot
Just
right now.
some
on the horse.
appropriation out here.
I would like to see that logo in the Tulane colors.
Do we ever get down to the bottom of the fact of whether or not the Seminoles are real Indian?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
We agreed it's not. We found out it's not.
Yeah.
Shame.
Well, the Seminole tribe allows it, sponsors.
I know, but I want some authenticity. That's all.
Understandable.
All right. The city, Athens, Georgia. It's the best. It's the best college town in America. That's kind of biased.
That was the layup for sure.
But it's not. Athens, Georgia. My first pick is going to be Caleb Downs. I think he's a player you can really use in like a Travis Hunter way to build your program around, give you a real jump start, put butts in seats. In the stadium, I chose Neyland Stadium.
Okay.
I like the environment.
You were
of that.
impressed this year, huh?
I was impressed with Neyland Stadium.
Feels like the Coliseum, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah.
Dude, have you seen Harvard Stadium? I almost picked it just because of what it looks like.
Is it all brick?
It looks like the Rome Coliseum on the outside, and it's like a
that's wild.
semi-bowl on the out. It's pretty sweet.
Doak
but-
Walker's the biggest, the second largest brick structure
yeah.
in the world.
I almost chose
only behind.
I don't
the
know.
Great Wall of China.
There you go. How about them apples?
I was waiting,
Nice.
but yeah, no, I almost picked Doak Walker, but
Yeah.
it only seats like 57,000.
Yeah, not
so
huge.
it's not massive. So I had to go something big. I need some. So I went
I
with
like
Neyland.
it.
All right. Well, for mine, for stadium, I went Lane Stadium, which is Virginia Tech, and no, I did not do it just off of the entrance or anything like that. If you look up pictures of it, I thought it was pretty sweet.
What's the seat?
Dope stadium.
How many does it sit? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it gets loud.
I'm gonna say 68.5.
That sounds like a good number. It gets loud though. That's all that matters, and it looks pretty cool. Sponsor Nike as well. Join
66.
Ooh, good guess.
almost right on it.
Yeah.
And then with Nike, you got to go with the Nike King himself. Dan Lanning is going to be my head coach. I took Lanning because
Okay.
he's one of the younger guys. He's going to give me some more longevity at that position more than others would, and he's really good at what he does as well. Color scheme, I was the one that stole UNC, made Christian a little upset,
Attaboy.
but I
It's
mean,
clean.
come on, it is so
That
clean.
powder blue, baby.
And when you pair it up with this, my mascot is a Mustang. So just envision SMU's logo in UNC colors on the side of a helmet. Me personally, I think that sounds pretty sweet. I went with Baton Rouge as the location for me. Really the biggest reason why is proximity to town. You can dip into such a wide variety of states. You can get it.
Where'd you go?
Baton Rouge.
Okay, my bad.
Louisiana, get some swamp monsters, go to Texas, Alabama, all those states so you can get a lot of talent. And then my first overall pick is going to be Jeremiah Smith. Don't know who's throwing the ball, but it ain't going to matter because he's going to catch a lot of tutties.
I love that. All right. Mine went a little bit off the rails. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't really play it inside the lines here at all. I think that checks out. That's kind of usual. All right, color scheme. Georgia fans aren't going to like this, but give me Ohio State. All right, but here's the deal. Turn down that garnet just a little bit. Too much silver and gray in that. That's the garnet, right?
Yeah.
The garnet is, you said gray?
The gray, whatever the gray called
No,
is in that.
that's not garnet.
Silver. They call it silver
Get
and
rid
garnet.
of it. Silver and garnet. Get rid of the silver a little bit. Turn it down a little bit and turn the black up in these color combinations. I think
So
that
you
would
like the
look a lot
black
better.
unis that they got.
I don't want the all black. I want you to find a happy medium between, wow, that's a lot of silver on that uni, to maybe a happy ground, maybe a happy medium, maybe mix some black pants in here with the red top, something like that. Okay, do a little something. All right, but I love the idea of like the Buckeye decals, like the whole kit and caboodle with the colors. Now, y'all both went Nike. Why not go Jordan? Because you get both. Like, you get the best of both worlds. We saw this. Like, Dan, I guess, gets the best of both worlds because it's Oregon, but I don't think the normal Nike schools do that. Like,
Right.
the normal Nike schools like Georgia aren't out here dripped out in Georgia Color Wave Jordans, but it would be kind of cool for Georgia fans and their student athletes to have color waves for their program. The only way for that to happen outside of the Oregon program is, like I said, to be a Jordan school. So give me the Jordan school. If you don't like wearing the Jordan cleats, it's okay. We're still a sister company of Nike. You can wear Nike stuff. Give me the I think it's the only answer, really, because you get 2 for 1. 2 birds, 1 stone.
I guess.
1 stone, 2 birds. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So give me the Jordan logo. Now, mascot. Okay, two things here. Okay, I need the Skyhawk logo, and I need to look at that right here because this thing is badass. This is a Warhawk with daggum aviation gogs on his forehead.
Yeah, until you mentioned it, I'd never noticed the aviation goggles on top of the bird. And once I did, I was like, that's a sweet little addition to the
Yeah,
logo.
so I need the Skyhawk, but here's the caveat. All right, here's the caveat to this. I want the Skyhawk live mascot, and I want an actual hawk to fly down from the sky. And I want somehow to put some gogs on him. That would be cool. But I want to steal the human out of the Obby costume at Auburn and
kidnap
put him
somebody?
in a Skyhawk uniform.
You just
Yeah, I'm just gonna take the man or the woman, whoever the mascotee is inside. I'm transporting that soul and I'm putting him in my Skyhawk. And here's why. Don't look at me weird. We're playing Ultimate Team.
this is
here.
a very interesting, like, you have to have it in your program.
Because I know ball. And here's what I know ball about. All right, I know college football, and I love college football. And if you go to an Auburn football game, if it's a blowout, which some of the ones that I went and watched were, watch Albie. Just pay attention, because Albie out here trolling. Albie was trolling like before trolling was a thing. Like Albie will wear the opponent's coaching outfit and walk around with a big pacifier in his mouth and like a baby hat on.
Okay,
and holding the clipboard of the opponent.
I like it.
Like Albie will like walk around with a fake UGA on the sideline. Like he will troll. They have trained him to troll and do like all these like skits. He has uniforms and outfits and like different things that he wears every quarter. He also does this weird like head bobby thing that I like. Okay, Albie, just a cool mascot. I'm telling you, just hang out. But we're gonna steal the soul and put him in a Skyhawk uni.
Okay.
All right.
You defended your statement.
Fair enough.
Well done.
Go- Continue.
My city here again. If y'all don't like the last, freedoms that I took, you're really not gonna like this one. I want Madison, Wisconsin, just uprooted from the earth in Wisconsin, and I want it planted in Tuscaloosa because I want Tuscaloosa's 5-hour radius, but I don't want Tuscaloosa. So give me Madison and just take a bunch of big-ass cranes up there and just rip it from the earth and move it down to Tuscaloosa.
Just push it somewhere else.
Yeah. Just throw it in the river, put it on a barge or some sort, and just bring it on down. You know what I mean? Because Tuscaloosa
So do you call
kiss
it? Would you call it Tuscaloosa or would you call it Madison?
Yeah, we call it Greenbow, Alabama, because Greenbow don't exist in real life, but it did in Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
And we can just call it Greenbow.
There you go.
So there we go.
Very nice.
Madison, beautiful place.
It is.
I took a virtual tour before the show
Wow.
started. Yeah, and that's all everything I needed to know. I don't need to go up there at all. So there you go.
That's your whole program, huh?
Yep. And then the stadium. I want Death Valley.
All right.
Either
Wait.
No,
Which
don't
Death-
do this to me.
What's
Don't
the
do
Death-
this to me.
Which Death Valley?
Don't do this to me. Clemson can stick one. Obviously, I'm taking LSU, but here's the
making
deal.
sure.
I want that Death Valley. Either you take the mountains in Provo and you uproot them and bring them to Death Valley, or you take Death Valley and put them on the mountains of Provo.
So
but
you
I want the biggest, most like raucous stadium, but I want that backdrop of Provo.
So you want the city of Wisconsin located in Tuscaloosa with
The city of Madison, Wisconsin.
City of
Let's not get crazy
City
here.
of Madison, Wisconsin, located in Tuscaloosa.
That's right.
With Tiger Stadium in it,
Yep.
and then take Provo Mountains and
Give me mountains.
put it in that location.
I don't
as
know what you're
well.
about to do to the climate, but I assume it's nothing good with everything that you're throwing into here.
I mean, can't be worse. Right?
Mountains near the coast and all this.
yeah.
I mean,
You're telling me moving Madison, Wisconsin to Tuscaloosa is worse for the environment than the ocean of trash we got going on? And they're an island out
Look,
there
I'm
off
just
the
saying,
coast.
I don't
of
think
Hill.
it's gonna make.
I don't know anything
bad.
about it. I'm just saying it doesn't sound like a. I don't know.
But he just
Sounds really
made,
cool, but
Brother just made a place up.
Slick did. All right, so that goes to the coaching discussion. Since y'all aren't vibing with that one, how about this? I need Lane Kiffin just for the jokes and just for the funness of it.
Oh, so you're not trying to win titles?
Well, here's how I'm going to win titles. I'm going to turn force trades on, okay? And I'm going to force Glenn Schumann to be his defensive coordinator somehow. And I'm also going to fire Jeff Lebby from Mississippi State and bring him on to just control the offensive stuff and make it real. I think Ole Miss's best offenses were with Jeff Lebby because they were actually, controlled a little bit. We weren't going for it on 4th and 1 from our own 27, constantly like our man is, at Lane Kiffin. So give me that triage somehow.
You're just changing all the sliders in this thing.
Yeah, for sure.
no wonder he wanted to go last.
Yeah, and
this
then
is crazy.
My number 1 overall draft pick is in high school. And it's George McIntyre. Give me George McIntyre because George McIntyre is, and I don't know if he's going to pan out to be this, but he looks like this as a recruiting profile. George McIntyre is 6'6". He is an athlete, meaning like if you were to give him a speed score and an athleticism score, he's like a 92, so you can really scramble with him. George McIntyre, and he's got a chooch. George McIntyre is what I would like create on Madden or on NCAA to make as a 5-star prospect. So give me George McIntyre. And by the way, he's contractually obligated to stay in college 4 years. That was the other caveat.
I was about to say that's the least ridiculous pick you made, and then you said that.
Hey, just give him a couple mil,
I guess, man. Where are you getting all this money from? You just derooted Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes. So who's
brought
NIL? Whose
where-
NIL collective are you taking?
Can you imagine the amount of tourists that would come to my newfound land?
Well, it's not newfound. It's just
Well, I mean,
relocated.
You're right, in a sense.
Sounds
Foreigners
good,
would be like,
doesn't work.
what the hell happened here? I'm in the South. I got mountains, and then I've got something that looks like it belongs up north, and all this other a mixture of some swamp in it from LSU. Like, good Lord, what is this?
It's a hell of a football
It's
program.
very
is
you.
what it is.
Very
It's
you.
interesting.
Hey, we got a whole nother hour of college football content coming up next, which will include our talks about Georgia's wide receiver coach opening.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog? What's up? You really like that? Let's shut up and grind some tape.
And Kelly Bryant did start in 2017.
He did?
Yeah.
Shouts out Kelly Bryant. It's a cruel, cruel world for college football head coaches. College football coaches in general, but college football head coaches, they're busier than ever. It seems like more stressed than ever. Their schedule is more convoluted than ever before. But for head coaches in college football, particularly the premier head football coaches, the $10 million salaries are enough to placate them, right? Like, you're making $6.5 million a year coaching Missouri football. Shut up about your work schedule. It's okay. Like, you're coaching college football and you're making almost $7 million. Stop complaining. If you don't want the job, somebody else will take it. I think that's the natural inclination and the natural reaction from a lot of people. But position coaches, on the other hand, position coaches don't necessarily feel this way, right? Position coaches feel as if they're getting the shake of things right here, particularly this being the local hour, right? Georgia has a very unique set of circumstances for this, right? For example, like we saw this past weekend where a position coach at Georgia can take essentially a lateral move to take the exact same job in the NFL. So what Brian McClendon did this past weekend. Brian McClendon was the co-offensive coordinator / passing game coordinator / wide receivers coach at the University of Georgia. Took the same exact role in the same exact title in the NFL. Okay, I will take you back to my childhood. We used to play in our county, boys. There was restrictions on the internet in your school, and you can only use certain websites. Primary Games was the site that all of our school systems use to, like, all the kids use, I should say, to play games while they were at school. And there was this one game on Primary Games called Redbeard. And Redbeard was this game where you would just kind of hop like up on these levels and collect these little like balls. And when you collected all these balls, you would unlock different little landing spots for you to jump onto, right? And I feel like Brian McClendon has been kind of playing Redbeard over the last couple of years. If you just kind of check his Wikipedia, sometimes he'll jump from one pad and he might elevate himself a little bit, and then his next jump is on a pad of the same level, and we're just kind of doing this jumping on pads thing for Redbeard during his career. Except he just jumped onto a new pad in a whole different level in a different stratosphere, which is what he just did. And
right.
this is Georgia's problem, okay? The other way around is some of these, programs giving NFL coaches promotions to come down to college, or, stealing coordinators or whatever and promoting them. But lateral moves for a Georgia football coach is wild, right? This isn't standard operations everywhere else.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I think that one thing Georgia's kind of learned of, if you're going to have coaching movement, it really seems like it's going to happen in the month of February, because this is now 2 years in a row where you've had coaches as soon as the month of February hits. That's kind of when these guys start to kind of dip off into other jobs and locations and whatnot.
I mean, it was a no-brainer for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that comes with this is just it's an NFL move, so you don't have to recruit.
Yeah.
Like right away, even if it is a lateral move for as far as status, pay, and all that goes, the workload's probably a little bit easier because you're not having to constantly make calls. You're not having to constantly answer phone calls from current players saying, hey, I need a raise on my NIL. So I think that's probably where the moves come from. We've seen it all over college football. Guys go into the NFL taking lateral moves, even in some cases demotions, because the workload's just less.
Yeah, I think like Monken's getting mentioned in the chat. I think that's a little bit outside of this box. That was a college promotion of a guy who had spent a decade in the NFL.
Right.
Right. Spent 3 years with Jacksonville. Spent, I think, 4 years or 3 years with Cleveland.
He was an NFL guy through and through.
Spent several years. I already say Tampa. Spent several years in the league. Jacksonville, Tampa, and Cleveland. So, yeah, spent about a decade in it. Returned to college football, then went back to the league. With all intents and purposes, he came to Georgia with the idea of getting back to the league. Anyways, this is very unique to me. This is a guy who has no prior – I think – does he have any prior NFL experience?
I'll look it up right now.
Maybe after maybe 2012 or something, maybe like a single year in the NFL. But this is very little NFL experience background, immediately taking a massive job. What are y'all laughing at?
That was not the Brian McClendon.
He pulled up the wrong Brian McClendon.
Some white dude.
Yeah. But the other thing I notice about this is that I would imagine this continues to happen more frequently, not necessarily because all college position coaches are pissed off, their life sucks or whatever, but it's also I'm seeing more of the NFL approach of we need to hire more relatable and younger football coaches because guess who they're getting now? They're getting these football players in the NFL that have spent the last 3 years with all of the player mobility in the world, right?
Right.
F you, coach, I'm out of here. And by the way, I'm leaving for more money. Like, that's what NFL is now getting inundated with. They're getting inundated with these athletes who have this mindset. So if you're going to continue to have success, maybe we shouldn't have a 55-year-old lifer, in the position room. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should go get a Brian McClendon type who has, shown an ability over his career to be relatable to young men.
Did you want his bio?
Yeah, what's going on?
So he was at Georgia from 2007 to 2015. Then he went to South Carolina to be co-offensive coordinator. Stayed there till 2019, it looks like. Spent 2 years at Oregon. Came back to Georgia.
So no NFL.
Yeah,
background.
no NFL. Came back to Georgia in 2022, and now he's obviously at the Bucs.
Yeah.
So all over college football, nowhere in the NFL.
All right, but obviously a no-brainer for him. We'll talk in this episode, continuing with our live episode here on TTD. We'll talk about what it means for Georgia, the impact of the loss, potential replacements, all that good stuff here on our local hour. But welcome in. Want to ask you guys to make sure you hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. We do have a bunch of local topics to talk to you guys about, like whether or not the wide receiver model that has currently been built at the University of Georgia in terms of player acquisition, whether that model is sustainable. All right, whether or not it's going to continue to produce, passable results. Is this the last coach that will be poached from the University of Georgia staff? We'll talk a little bit about that. And Georgia made a new addition to their GA staff today, or announced their new addition to their GA staff today. And we're going to play a little game of Dream Fits. Okay, not what I had on last night on the stage, which was indeed a dream fit, but we'll be talking about NFL Dream Fits as well. What'd you think about the turtleneck swag? You hopped in there with a little JT Daniels comp.
Dude,
I didn't hate that.
If you pull up that picture of JT Daniels wearing a turtleneck in downtown Athens, it looks exactly like you, except you had a different colored jacket on.
Yeah. Green.
But it was good. Looked
Green.
good. And I noticed that the shoe game, of course, as well, matched the fit as well. So you just had it all together.
We was on one.
Turtlenecks aren't bad. Good.
Yeah.
If you can pull up a turtleneck, solid on you.
I'm a fan of the turtleneck swag. I think it goes well with the suit.
I think
out here rocking the turtle Dwayne Johnson style.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think
straight turtling.
Yeah, I think there is the fine line though. If you looks like you're trying too hard with a turtleneck, it's like you got
you might be Danny Cannell on that point.
Yeah, doing too much.
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
None.
But yeah, the ones were on point. They were a solid investment. All my suits were like from 2013, which ain't a problem. But we're a decade in at this point. Suits look and feel totally different nowadays.
Like 2013 NBA draft looking?
No, they weren't baggy because I'd had them retailored over and over and over
just
again
get
and
them
bring
tailored
them in over the times.
If you keep getting them tailored, they look fine.
Yeah, but just in terms of like color structure and the general like how they feel, I needed new ones. So we got some new ones. But welcome in. We got a load of them for you. Shout out to Prize Picks, 100% deposit match over there on prizepicks.com using promo code Brooks. Let's talk about the impact of this loss on the coaching staff, boys. I'll be honest. It's hard to leave a massive legacy when you only spend 24 months at the program coaching the position. And the room has been infiltrated over the last 24 months with transfer guys, so he didn't do a ton on the trail. In fact, he only signed 5 high school kids 4 4-stars and 1 3-star. I don't feel like naming names because I don't want to pick on anybody, but it wasn't a high school career success recruiting arc here for a guy whose job was to control the room.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of felt like that's one of the reasons why you wanted to bring in McClendon and see if he could.
It's what we were sold on.
And initially at the start of it seemed like maybe he was going to help Georgia transition to that. Kind of got off to a hot start, and then it just never continued to build. It just kind of plateaued.
Whatever happened with Raymond Cottrell? Do you remember that? That was one of his first commitments, right? And he got you in the room with like guys like Hakeem Williams and guys like that. He ended up going to what? He's at Kentucky now. He transferred. He went to Texas A&M in high school. He's at Kentucky now. That's wild.
Shouts out.
Brock Vandegrift got him the target.
Anyways, big, strong, physical guy. Fit the mold of a BMAC. But yeah, man, like when you look at it now, you look at the room. It's like you signed Anthony Evans. He's still there. You can't take credit for Dylan Bell. That wasn't you.
Nope.
What's going to happen with Tyler Williams? That was your big signee. That was the big one, right? Yazid Haynes already out.
Yep.
Nitro Tuggle. We'll see what happens, right? Zacoby White. We'll see what happens.
Right.
Lost Nikar during the recruitment process.
Tough.
He flipped to Miami.
Yep.
It's slim pickings, man. It's like what? How do we evaluate an arc that was like that as a coach and a position coach at Georgia? Which they don't play it like that.
You hate to say that there really is no impact of him leaving, because obviously there is some sort of impact that is left when a coach leaves. You know, whether it's the like continuity of the room or just kind of like an overall impact on relationships or anything like that, and just understanding the program. I mean, that's a Georgia guy through and through, multiple stops. But, I mean, 2 years, and again, nothing really super impactful that he brought in.
Here's one for you. Are they the only room at the University of Georgia in the last 2 recruiting cycles that hasn't at least gotten a commitment from a 5-star? Quarterback room, yes. Tight end room, yes.
Offensive line, definitely.
Offensive line room, yes. Linebacker room, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safety,
Cornerback room, yes. Safety room, yes.
Punters and kickers.
No. The kicker this last class is a 5-star.
Woodring.
Oh, yeah.
Woodring is a specialist 5-star.
Yeah.
Which they're ranked out of 6 stars. He's a 6-star.
Drew Miller, I think, was too, the new punter.
Yeah.
So but I mean, the question
that right there is enough. That right there is enough said about his recruitment, just in terms of his recruitment prowess. Which again, that's what he was brought in and sold as.
Right, and I think the question then you have to ask is it the recruiting of him, or is it just overall Georgia football seems to have an issue at being able to get these guys? Because Kirby Smart's made it clear that he's not going to pay receivers ungodly amounts of money to get them in the door, which it seems like it's what it takes nowadays. So I mean, is it more of Brian McClendon can't recruit the position, or there's such a cap on the way that things are done around Georgia that the receiver position isn't one where you can go out and say, hey, we need these 5-stars, let's allocate this amount of funds to get them?
I mean, your ability to recruit nowadays is almost directly tied, particularly at the Power 5 level, is directly tied to your access to funds.
And I mean, like, it's why you've lost guys in this last class, like big names that.
You can't be an ignorant, meaning the definition of ignorant. You can't lack the knowledge of the fact that these are the 2 positions that Georgia has missed out on most since NIL has come around are running back and wide receiver. And you can't block out the fact that those positions are disproportionately expensive right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's the stone cold facts of this. And yeah, you have to admit that when you talk about McClendon, and you'll have to admit that when you talk about the next guy.
Right.
Whoever the next guy may be. But before we talk about potential replacements, and I have names for you guys tonight, I think we've already ventured into our discussion of whether or not this model of building the room, or at least what has been the model over the last couple of years, of building the room off the portal. If you look at it, I talked about it today on the radio on 680. If you look at the room, you really only travel about 8 guys, right? 8 wide receivers, maybe tops. You're going to travel 5 transfers this year guaranteed, right? London Humphreys, Ra Thomas, Dominic Lovett, Colby Young, and Michael Jackson III. Those 5 are on the bus. So who are the other 3? You're looking at Dylan Bell, guaranteed. You're looking at Anthony Evans, probably guaranteed. And you're looking at Tyler Williams, probably guaranteed.
Arian Smith.
Definitely Arian Smith. So Tyler Williams, unless they travel 9, good luck, right? But you're looking at 8 guys in that room, and 3 of them were homegrown talents, 4 being Tyler Williams. But the majority of your output this year is going to come from the portal. Is this a sustainable model for them moving forward?
I'm going to say it's not sustainable for this reason alone.
You're not always going to have a Brock Bowers?
Not only that, but like for the recruiting trail, you scout these kids for years and years on end. You know exactly what each recruiting class is going to have. You have no idea what the transfer portal is going to look like each and every year. You do not know if you're going to be able to go get a Michael Jackson, Colby Young, Ra Thomas, Dominic Lovett, and whoever, and London Humphreys, or whoever else on a 2-year basis or on a 1-year basis like you did this year. You have no idea what that picture looks like. So just banking on that happening every single year and say, like, well, we'll just get a couple kids from the portal that are really talented. Like, again, like obviously talented kids are going to hit the portal every single year, but you don't know like the whole picture like you do on the recruiting trail.
I don't think the model of let's go out and just build our wide receiver room for the transfer portal is sustainable for any universe. I don't think doing that for any position is sustainable. I think the reason why they're doing is, hey, let's possibly hit on one of these guys so we can say, hey, look, we do have wide receiver talent that ends up having successful careers in the NFL or ends up being first-round talent. Like Dominic Lovett and Ra Thomas were like 2 guys where it's like, hey, potential first, second rounders if they have big years. And obviously 2023 didn't go the way they thought they would, but you have that now to where you can say, have those players develop into maybe those talents. So, I mean, it's not sustainable if you don't have the output. Nothing's going to be sustainable if you don't get the output from the guys you get. I mean, you could get every 5-star in the building, and still, if you don't have a first-round talent, it's going to eventually hurt you down the road. So I think the only reason it's not as sustainable is because of the output. Like, if Ra Thomas and Dominic Lovett put up 1,000-yard receiving yards this season, like, that's huge.
You mentioned homegrown talents. I think that's another glaringly obvious portion of this discussion I think gets overlooked sometimes is like, if you really study recruiting, if you really know recruiting, you will know that Georgia produces a lot of things. 5-star receivers, not one of them. The last 5-star receiver, we talked about it today before the show, is Jaden Hazelwood. That was 2019. There hasn't been a 5-star receiver in this state in 4 cycles.
Other than Mike Matthews.
Oh, other than Mike Matthews. We even talked about that one pre-show. So other than Mike Matthews, who, if you really want to play with it, was listed as an athlete, was not listed as a wide receiver, even though he is a wide receiver.
Yeah, he'll play wide receiver.
But either way, that's 2 guys in 5 total cycles that came from this state. Now, I know you passed on one in Jaden Hazelwood and you missed on the other. But let's not sit here and act like this is a state that produces a shitload of these 5-star players at this particular position when at every other spot they poop them out. I mean, it's 5 stars left and right at other positions. It's not necessarily, or it hasn't necessarily been like that in the state of Georgia. I think it's why you see such emphasis placed on kids like Travis Smith Jr. in that 2025 class out of Westlake. Like, that's a 6'4" mover that's going to be ranked inside the top 50. Y'all better go get that guy. Like, that's the way most fans probably feel and look at the recruiting circuit as. But it's just not a state that's out here pumping them out like you think it does.
No.
Plus, if you stay consistent with this model, I don't know if this would be a sure thing, but it would feel like it could potentially impact your quarterback recruitment as well. If I come play the quarterback at the University of Georgia and I start for 2 years, I might have 2 completely different wide receiver rooms I'm working with both years and really don't have any consistency or continuity or chemistry with any of the guys I'm throwing to on a year-by-year basis.
Yeah, it's very true. I think what Georgia's doing right now is they're trying to find the one hitter, where it's just we need one guy, and maybe Ladd McConkey is that this year, depending on how he does in the combine, where you can point and say, look, this is what we've been doing. This is where we have guys that have success. This is how you can make money in the NFL playing for Georgia at wide receiver. Because the notion of them is, 5 stars don't want to block. They haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Terrence Edwards, and I haven't had a first-round pick since A.J. Green. You can end a lot of those stipulations right now in this with the talent you have.
The recruiting model and the player acquisition model seems very, very clear to me at the wide receiver position right now at Georgia. It's about 2 things. It's about transfers and it's about big swings, right? Big swings. Okay, what do I mean by that? Tyler Williams was a big swing on physical traits, right? 6'3", 200 pounds, elite, straight line runner. What can we develop him into out of Lakeland, Florida? Anthony Evans, a complete bank and bet on speed. You can go up and down. They've been doing this every single class, it feels like, since 2020. And guys like Yazid Haynes were a big bet on speed. Guys like Ladd McConkey were a big bet. That was a big gamble by them, and it paid off for them. Guys like A.D. Mitchell were a big gamble. Dylan Bell was a big gamble on traits for them, right? They take gambles on traits, and then they take transfers. And that, to me, sounds like a room that doesn't have a lot of, resources, if you will,
Right.
from a recruitment standpoint. That's the only reason that I could be out here quantifying this, strategy, if you will. It's a room that needs improvement, but how much more improvement can it get,
Without starting.
Without starting restructuring how you're going to go about your salary cap.
Right.
Which is what we're talking about
Exactly.
nowadays.
Because, I mean, like, it feels like surefire guys at wide receiver know their worth and are able to say, hey, I need $1 million to sign with this team. And that you're just not going to get that out of the University of Georgia, which is why you say, like, they have to take risk on a Ladd McConkey or a Dylan Bell and hope it pays off. A bunch of 3-star guys and hope they pay off.
Absolutely. All right, did we see our last coach poached?
I don't know.
I
Seems like you don't really hear about it until it happens.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like
put it this way. Like 48 hours before he took the Tampa job, I was told he reached out about that Georgia State job.
yeah,
I was told his agents called about the Georgia State job.
makes sense, honestly.
And then he went and took the
Well, that's what I was assuming what the Brian McClendon alert was that I got on my phone. I was like, oh, he must be going to Georgia State. And I was like, oh, the NFL.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was nuts.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like you're always gonna have buzzards swirling around Glenn Schumann.
Yeah.
Like, just because he's such a high quality coach and his name's always.
I think those are extinguished, and here's why. At least for this round. I think every defensive coordinator job in the NFL is taken already. I think all the new head coaches have hired their DC.
Found their guys.
So I think you're safe.
Good.
Which immediately directs or should direct your attention to two names, in my opinion. Okay? And these are guys who have spent a decade now in college football, which to me is that burnout margin. Those guys are sick of it. They lived a life before all this nonsense that they remember and are fond of.
Right.
Whereas like a guy like Chidera Uzo-Deribe, he don't know nothing but the crazy shit. You know what I mean? So he probably got a little more burnout time. But guys like Trey Scott and Dale McGee, they have been at the peak of what they do from a positional coach standpoint. And they have seen their world completely change. And, yeah, if the NFL called about a running back's coaching job, maybe Dale's interested. Same thing for Trey for a defensive line coaching job. And I promise you, they're probably seeking phone call or receiving phone calls.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it wouldn't surprise me if there were more poachings, but it also wouldn't surprise me if what you have right now is the team you have, or the roster as far as coaching staff goes, you have going into 2024. Like, it could happen. It wouldn't surprise me if it does, and it would make sense. Like you said, you've got a lot of guys that have been doing this for close to a decade where the rules have changed astronomically in the last 3, so it makes sense.
I think you got to hold on for about another week.
Yeah.
And then you can feel safe about your coaching staff being intact.
Right.
Maybe until the Georgia State job gets filled. But other than that, I think you're fine. So that's good news for Georgia fans. All right. What was I? Oh, no. Before we go to Dream Fist, we got to talk about replacement potentials.
Yes.
Okay, let's bring some names here. I put out 4 names on Patreon today, and I don't want to give you all 4 names. So I'll give you 2 of the main ones, and then we can talk about a couple more. The 2 main names I'm hearing are Jimmy Smith, the current running backs coach at Arkansas, is a Atlanta local legend. Okay, this is a guy that won multiple championships at Cedar Grove, and then as the head coach, and then got into position coaching in the SEC at Arkansas, and recruited like an absolute dude for I think 4 years now at Arkansas, and obviously has a tremendous amount of connections in the local area, and it would be a strictly recruitment hire. Okay, yeah, he has a background as a coach, coaching all positions, and got into college coaching as a running backs coach. But this ain't no, hey, he's going to turn a 3-star into a 5-star talent. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be that gamble. The gamble there is, hey, go get me some dudes, man. Go get me some guys. All right, and this is a football coach that has proven to be able to do that. Now, Josh Crawford is another name that I've been kind of paying attention to. He is the wide receivers coach at Georgia Tech currently, and you talk about a long history of kind of has a comfort around the state. This is a guy who's had head coaching jobs at Valdosta High School, Lowndes, Colquitt, and Jefferson.
And Lee County.
So he's basically had jobs at every major high school football program apart from Carrollton.
Yes.
So he kind of a guy, you know what I mean, from a high school relationship standpoint, and has proven to develop and sign really, really good football players. The Nick Singleton sign and development at Georgia Tech might be one of the better hidden gems. They pulled that kid out of Texas, and he was a sub-10 400-meter runner. So it wasn't like he was a slept-on guy or people didn't know about him. Georgia Tech just ended up landing him and taking him. So that, I would imagine, has to do with Crawford. Now, a name that Georgia fans are relatively familiar with that I'm sure they bucked at when it was mentioned today, James Coley. Now, this is a familiarity type of deal. This would be a believe it or not, that guy signs dudes type of hire, particularly out of the state of Florida and South Florida in particular. But most importantly, I don't know of a single guy that's ever worked with James that doesn't love him, and that matters. Likability and continuity within those coaching staffs matters. And I'll let you guys handle the Hines Ward, Terrence Edwards discussions, and you can lob questions at me. Because it's over and over and over again. I'm getting told that those two guys should be the guy, and it's over and over and over again that I don't hear their names from any sources that I trust.
I think it's just gotten to a point, too, where Georgia fans are just like, well, get somebody that we know and love and can trust in this scenario, and someone that loves University of Georgia. Maybe that would help stop the turnover. And you know what? Yeah. That probably would. If you went out and got Terrence Edwards or Hines Ward, odds are they're going to stick around here for quite a while if they are allowed to and they are told to, that they can remain with the program. But all the issues that we just discussed, like about recruiting and like trying to build a room and everything, we don't know anything about either of those guys being able to do that at this level, at the SEC level, at the collegiate level nonetheless. There's just so many question marks around those guys that it's going to continue to be that way until one of them takes a step into the college realm. And Hines Ward did it briefly at FAU, but then he was immediately in the XFL coaching in San Antonio. So it's just there's not enough proof of concept, I feel like, for Georgia to jump all over either of those guys' names.
Yeah, my issue with it is, and this is just human nature, if you took away Terrence Edwards and Hines Ward's playing careers at Georgia, there would be absolutely no reason that anyone would be like, oh my God, this is the guy we need. This is the right hire. It's because they played there. They were wide receivers there. I mean, they definitely know the position well. Terrence trains 5-stars all the time. Like we said, Hines Ward has had coaching gigs. But again, if you took away their playing experience and if you hired Hines Ward and no one knew that he played football at the University of Georgia, Georgia fans would have pitchforks at Kirby Smart. So like, why did we hire this guy? He has no experience. It's just because the fact that it's a name you love. It's a guy who played a while ago. And that's why you think it's a great hire. I don't think it would be a good hire, either of them. And I love both of them, but
yeah. So a couple things here. Hines has very little. I don't think any positional coaching experience. There's a guy that was hired at FAU as his first, I think, crack in college football, and his title was special assistant to the head coach. He was a special offensive assistant for Adam Gase with the New York Jets. He's done some consulting work, but this isn't like people say he's been in coaching. Okay, you know what I mean? Not like an everyday get in the room, go recruit, like get out here grinding, like you're Georgia's position coach type shit. It's a little bit different. You know what I mean? A USFL head coach. Okay, he was a head coach for 8 weeks and got fired, relieved of his duties. Excuse me. Now, I don't mean to dump on the dude, but like you said, if it wasn't Hines Ward, we wouldn't be having this discussion. It's just be another former player having a run at trying to be a football coach. As for Terrence has no college experience, not even interim backup special assistant. I run get coffee for the head coach at FAU. Not even that. So what I would imagine, and I haven't had this full on in-depth conversation with Terrence, but what I would imagine Terrence gets approached with all the time is, we would love for you to get into college football coaching, but we can't throw you into a position room automatically. You're going to have to come be an analyst, or you're going to have to come be, an off-field role, which means he's going to have to take a grace period before he can even do that, because he's a high school football coach, okay, and he is a trainer. So there, you can go immediately from high school football coach trainer to now I'm a position coach, but for some reason you can't go high school football coach, I'm a trainer, to off-field analyst.
Right.
That is muddying in the waters. That is, hey, here's $150,000. Maybe make sure I get that 5-star. Come do a nothing job for me. But you can hire them to be a real position coach. I just don't believe, or I don't subscribe to the theory that Terrence has even gotten a phone call, Because I'm telling you right now, if Terrence was ever approached about this job, he would take it. Same thing for Hines Ward. I think the names that I presented to you, really Jimmy Smith and Josh Crawford, those are probably the ones I'd focus in on for now.
Yeah, and I don't. Fans shouldn't take this in the way of we don't think that they're capable of doing this job, or that we don't think that they would be quality coaches or anything
just Kirby
like that.
hasn't called them for it.
It's just a simple term of like looking at the resumes and comparing them like to a Jimmy Smith or a Crawford or even a James Coley of like, look at this resume compared to what these two guys have. They just don't add up quite enough, and they'll be UGA legends until they die. But it's just probably going to be a little while before they, if they ever coach at UGA.
Yeah, again, it's like, I mean, I love both of them as players. I love both of them as what they did for University of Georgia. But I don't think that right now the answer for this coaching vacancy is them.
Yeah.
Like that's no disrespect to either of them. And I think maybe in 10 years, if you have more experience, yeah, absolutely make that call. But it's just the name alone can't be the reason that gets you in the door.
Also, like Terrence has a tremendous amount of pull here and a tremendous amount of pull in the Southeast. But you're trying to nationally recruit, right, at every position. And, like, it definitely would matter. That's a lie. If you told some kid from California that the all-time leading receiver was the position coach and he loves the school and he played there, that's going to mean something. So I'm going to shut up on this point. It's not even a point. I was going to go down the road of, does somebody from California know who Terrence Edwards is? But they would when they walk in and see the goddamn record books. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So that whole idea would be kind of stupid. Brian Hartline keeps getting mentioned in the chat. I think that's fool's gold.
I mean, it's just he's the best in the business. Let's go get him. Which, sure, yeah, absolutely. Go try. Have a phone call with. But I think he seems locked in with Ohio State because many people, I would imagine, have tried to be getting Brian Hartline to come to their program, and they have not succeeded in that.
I would just haul off and hire Jimmy Smith and go try to recruit some dudes.
Yeah.
You know, and be relatable and have a lot of energy and all that good stuff. I've ran into a lot of these guys on the trail. Jimmy's got juice. Jimmy's got a special ability to relate to young men, and I think that's kind of the job nowadays.
Would you rather have a guy that gets all the talent in the door, gets – and they name a 5-star, you've got him, but is minimal, like does minimal development, or a guy that you're consistently pulling 3 stars, project players, and you're developing, you're getting the max, like the most out of their talents? Who would you rather have? Yeah,
so I'm going to keep it a buck with you. A lot of the development around college football players, in my opinion, is within their own rights anyways. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm spending a total of 2 hours a day with you, August through January. That's not a lot of time. Like, a lot of your physical development is done by your strength and conditioning coordinator. Mm-hmm. A lot of your mental development, how you see the game, how you process the game, a lot of that's on you. How much film are you watching? You know what I mean?
Right.
A lot of your skill development can be placed on the shoulders of your position coach. But then again, you're spending 6 months out of your year developing your skills outside of the position group, right? You're doing, or outside of the position coach's watch. You're doing a lot of player ran workouts. You're doing a lot of 7-on-7 during the offseason. A lot of what you are doing in terms of developing your skill set, a lot of that's on you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of that's, that's just life in general. However good your protege is, it doesn't friggin' matter if you're not out here grinding.
Valid. Very valid point. That was actually a question I wanted to ask, was like, how much is it like your position coach is like developing you over the years, or like you hear so many times about like edge rushers or anybody else going and doing work in the offseason with somebody else not in the program and then going back to university.
Go ask Lad McConkey who made him a great route runner. And I bet you he would tell you Stephon Brown, and he would tell you Terrence Edwards, and he would tell you Nick Bartley. Those are the 3. Like, one of them is his position coach from high school. Mm-hmm. One of them is Terrence, and the other one's Steph. Both of Terrence and Steph are unique individual trainers.
Yeah.
So if you hire these individual trainers, Indy period's going to be fire, bro. In that 15 minutes where you're over there just with wide receivers, that shit going to be lit. They're going to be over there doing great drills. They're going to be getting so much better in that 15-minute drill. Now, what's it look like when we go to team? How well do you coach the position group when we go to team? I think that's the main question for a lot of these position trainers. And they make too much money. To be 100% honest with you, they make too much money doing what they do to go take $150,000 to be a special assistant to the, you know what I mean?
So here's a question I guess I have of like someone like Brian Hartline, who is recruiting successfully at a national rate. Is it like maybe one advantage that he has is like obviously having connections to maybe trainers in that area of the state, or is it just simply like Jeremiah Smith is going to go home and do his own trainer there and then come back to Ohio State? Or is he like finding people around there?
No, it's like that. When you go home, you train with who you trained with before you came, or you go home and you train with who you can afford now, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you might level up your game depending on how much access to funds you have or the ability to get there, right?
Gotcha.
Like I see a lot of pro guys come back now and train with Oliver because they can afford, Oliver Davis being the corner coach, they can afford to fly him out to L.A. or fly him out to Houston or fly him out to Penn State now, which is what he just got. If you look on his social media today, he was up at Penn State training A.J. Harris, you know. So these guys travel around a lot during the offseason and get inside these buildings, and a lot of these head coaches have had to open up their doors to this, to the idea that I'm gonna do what? I'm going to do what now? I'm going to have to unlock the facility for your trainer from back home to come up here and run you through a workout. And wait a minute, all of the DBs want to work with him too. Hold on, what? And as a head coach, you can't get defensive about that? Like, high school coaches listening to me right now, think about this. Some trainer is going to walk in your building and all of your DBs are going to go over there and sign up to coach with him. And you're not privy to his – y'all would flip your wigs. And James Franklin's having to deal with this and pass it by, right? And now Oliver knows what he's doing, but most of the slappies that ask high school football coaches for this access don't. So I get it. I get why y'all are upset about it. But that is some wild stuff there with all that. But I get it. I get the Hines and the Terrence stuff. To tie it back all the way to that, I get it. There's one of the better two of the better football players that have ever played, and two of the more meaningful football players that have ever played at your program, both showing a want to be at your program and not getting a lot of love. So I understand it.
For sure.
On to the next one.
On to the next
All
one.
right, dream fits. I like this.
Matchmaking.
Yeah, we're matchmaking. All right, so we're going to take Georgia football players that are available for the draft. I got 4 selections here, and we're going to put them with their perfect NFL team and match made in heaven here.
Okay.
Who wants to go first?
You do.
All right. Brock Bowers on the Rams.
Oh, I like it.
Jeez.
I think the Rams need one of these guys. They got Cooper. They got Puka. Add Brock Bowers in there, and now you got a real trilogy of exciting whites.
Matthew Stafford would be licking his chops like, I get to end my career with this?
Yeah.
I add a few extra years.
He gives some immediate options, you know what I mean, for Stafford, who's been under some duress for a while and is banged up. You don't want to get that guy hurt.
I mean, his best tight end is Tyler Higbee that he's had in his career.
Correct.
Who just got hurt.
And he just got hurt.
Yeah.
So,
I had Brock Bowers on the Raiders.
The selfishness. over there.
Selfish. I'll tell you who I put Brock Bowers on. And screw the situation. I don't care who they have right now. This is just off of pure want in the situation.
Atlanta Falcons.
No. The Detroit Lions. Sam Laporta, step aside. You're now number 2. Brock Bowers on the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff obviously loves his tight end. I mean, Sam Laporta had a monster rookie season.
Tyler Higbee's in the NFL now because of my man's right here, Jared Goff.
So I would love to see Brock Bowers on the Detroit Lions and that fun offense. Amon-Ra St. Brown working next to him. John Reynolds working also. Oh, I think that'd be a great passing attack.
Where'd you put Brock?
I told you where I put him.
Where?
Raiders.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Selfishness. I'm sorry. CTE brain getting me tonight.
It's all good. But no, I mean, you can't tell me Michael Mayer and Austin Hooper are not just watered down. Michael Mayer? Mayer.
Yeah.
Are just watered down versions of what Brock Bowers
Some
is.
people said he's better than Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
They did when he was in college.
Okay.
Jeez.
That's a loaded room to be drafting another first-round tight end.
No, it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're just like for solely Brock Bowers' purpose,
I think you're just.
I don't know, man. I think I would rather.
No, Detroit's definitely a better answer.
I think I'd want a better quarterback than Aiden O'Connell throwing to Brock
We're gonna
Bowers.
get a better quarterback, dude. Don't worry.
What if Sean spent like 8 months leading up to the season studying use check and Kittle's usage and created a hybrid position for the Rams with Brock? That's what I'm envisioning. That's what I'm envisioning.
That would be
right
interesting.
He's an offensive mind to figure it out.
Yeah.
For sure.
You got one?
Oh, yeah, I got one. This is another fun one, in my opinion. Lad McConkey to the Houston Texans.
Okay.
That would be fun.
You got C.J. Stroud, obviously one of the best.
Tank Dell.
Tank Dell.
I was gonna say, isn't Tank Dell and Lad kind of like Spider-Man meme? Aren't they very similar football players?
I guess. I mean,
I think Tank Dell's bigger, is he not?
Yeah, I think Tank Dell is bigger. And then they also have Mechie on the roster as well, but I don't care. I think that Ladd McConkey in a Slowick offense, a Bobby Slowick offense, who is a hot name already as an offensive coordinator, potentially a head coach. Again, look, this is just dream scenario matchmaking. I think if Ladd McConkey were to go to the Houston Texans and work with that group, I think it'd be fire.
Ladd McConkey makes Tank Dell look like a little person. Tank Dell is 5'8", 165 pounds, ran 4.49.
Whoa.
1.49 split in the 10, and then broad jump 10.1.
Poor guy didn't live up to his name.
That's
was not
crazy.
bad.
I thought he was bigger than that.
Yeah, nah. He a little guy.
I had Ladd on the
Just a bunch of little guys running around, dicing people up. I still think it'd be a great fit.
You like little dudes.
I had him on the Rams for a similar reason you got, where you have Cooper Kupp, where just kind of your possession guy, underneath stuff, Puka Nacua, and then Ladd, a deep ball over the top guy. I think that's a perfect trio.
I put Ladd on the Jags.
Ooh.
So we can just really, really mess with NFL commentators to where we can hit them on a switch, hit them with a switch every time they're like, ooh, Trevor finally got his Hunter Renfrow back. Whoosh. Every time. Just whack over the head. Just
God.
Stop.
The amount of times.
But yeah, the amount of times. See, and you got to make them wear 13 and got to play them in the slide.
Oh, Jim, Trevor Lawrence has got his Ladd McConkey. Oh, man, gosh.
Yeah,
Hunter Renfrow.
all over it.
Golly.
Not bad.
That's not a bad.
Just a grinder.
That was not a bad Tony Romo. That was good.
So I heard that. I told Christian about this. I heard this the other day. Someone was talking about they were trying to figure out how to do their Tony Romo impersonation. They're like, and I finally figured it out. He sounds like a car starting up in the morning. Jim, 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 Jim. That's exactly what Tony Romo is.
Jim, 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 Jim. That's pretty good.
I like Romo.
Yeah, I'm passing on the Romo stuff, but go ahead. You got one?
Yeah, I have Javon Bullard on the Ravens. I think his attitude is perfect for that defense and the style that they play. It's very similar to what
Him and Kyle
It
Hamilton.
looked like the Twins movie with
Danny DeVito and Arnold.
And Arnold. That's
Yeah,
what they
it
look
would.
like.
This one, I guess you might appreciate. So, Cedric Van Pran,
Ooh, where?
Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Hear me out on this. They have a need for the center position. You got a solid quarterback. Again, touch and go on the durability of him. But already a loaded offense. I think if you sustain the interior offense, and I feel like that team does somewhat kind of lack a true leader, like a headpiece of the offense. Not that Tua isn't that, but I feel like if you put a guy like Cedric in there and just really glue everything together, and Mike McDaniel, I mean, come on, man.
How about SVP to the Chargers?
Not a bad one.
Okay. Let's there again a very and center selections, particularly guys who have only played center, like Said hasn't played interior offensive line. Not saying he can't, but he hasn't played guard in college. So these center specific guys, they're very much so drafted upon need. Who needs a center? You mentioned a team that needs a center. The Chargers are listed as a team that needs a center, according to NFL.com. And I just imagine, hey, walk in there and say, hey, Justin, we're going to handle protections. Don't worry about it. The O-line room's got it. We're going to take it off your shoulders. And how much of a relief I would imagine that brings a guy like Justin Herbert, who has been running for his life for the last couple of years.
Yes.
I got one for you. How about Kendall Milton to the Titans?
I almost
That's
did this
not a
for
bad one.
For a Derrick Henry clone.
Derrick
We'll
Henry.
equate version of D. Henry.
Dude, that would suck. Imagine tackling Derrick Henry for 3 plays. And
Hey,
then,
here's 235.
yeah.
coming in.
Oh my
The
God.
only thing that I would maybe would steer me away a little bit from that is the fact that Vrabel and that kind of offensive-minded group is no longer at the Tennessee Titans, so they might be looking to go in a different direction, especially now that maybe you have something in Will Levis.
Yeah. I have one. I think this one's interesting. Rojak to the Chiefs. The Chiefs need a valuable receiver that can kind of carve and make a lane of their own and be just that valuable guy to go to. You've got the best quarterback in the league. I feel like Rojak could be a very reliable guy. Have a
He's
very long
Marquez
career.
Valdez-Scantling.
I was just about to say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I was
Like
literally just about to say that.
need him. He's there when you need him. Reliable. He's not like a big flashy player. He's not going to be like the top 10 receiver.
He's
but
flood insurance.
yeah, just a good solid guy to have around.
You got one?
No, I get
You all
my-
cashed out? You got
I'm
another
all
one?
cashed out, man.
I could probably think of another one.
How about Mims to the Eagles?
No, I mean,
Lane
that
Johnson flirting with retirement or has in the last couple of years.
would make sense.
Had to replace Jason Peters over the last 24 months over there on that stat or on that roster as well. A lot of people want to do the SVP to the Eagles stuff because Jason Kelsey has obviously retired. Now, I'm not saying that they won't revamp their offense, but that offense, bless you, is predicated off of the center being an uber athlete, like a really great athlete. They run pin and pull probably more than any NFL football program or football team because Jason is this, or was this. Jason Kelsey, fun fact, former high school running back.
Yep.
Like an elite athlete. Cedric is not that. Cedric's a lot of great things, but a lateral mover, not listed among them, right? Cedric's a great leader. Cedric's a great pass protector. Cedric's a great run blocker in an inside zone scheme and in a counter scheme. But you're not pulling him a ton because he's just, like I said, not a tremendous lateral athlete, but is a great north to south and on the 45 type of football player. So I don't necessarily see the SVP to Eagles stuff that I see all over the internet.
This could be a segment in of its own. Which of the 11 players do you think would be the one? Because, I mean, it's going to happen. Who's getting drafted by the Eagles?
Ooh. See, like you put him on the Ravens. Bullard's a perfect nickel for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of a need they have for that. They're obviously stupid deep at defensive tackle and defensive end. Nor does Georgia really have a premier player available in this year's draft at either of those positions. You're talking about like Tramel Walthour and actually Tramel's coming back.
Z Logue.
You're talking about Zion Logue. Like that's not an elite crop right there. So maybe Amarius at tackle, because I promise you right now, I think the Eagles are drafting somewhere in the mid-20s, early 20s. If Amarius Mims really does go OT6 or OT7, there's no way the Eagles are a dumb enough organization to let a potential Hall of Famer to walk by them, because that's what he is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you look at Amarius Mims, he is a potential Hall of Famer. Whether or not he reaches that potential is a whole nother discussion. But, yeah, if anyone's taking a Georgia Bulldog, I think it's Amarius to the Eagles.
I tried thinking of one for Kamari, but the thing about defensive backs and cornerbacks specifically, so random, and like everybody needs him at the same time,
Based
no matter
on the
like
run, too.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, like,
so I really couldn't think of a good fit for him or anything like that. It's just he'll end up somewhere and he'll just end up balling.
Yeah, that was the only ones I had.
Where's Kenny Moore at? Is he still in Indy?
I think so. I don't know for sure.
Tyke Smith would be a great Kenny Moore replacement wherever Kenny is, as would Bull. I think I played against Kenny in college. I think he's still in Indy. Yeah, he's still playing for Indy. Highest paid nickel in the history of the NFL. Oh. Kenny Moore, Valdosta State product. And I talked to Kenny about this. He was helping out with an event here in Atlanta, a recruiting event that our guy Justin Miller runs, DB coach over at Milton. Anyways, I saw Kenny and I started talking to him about the times that we played. And he didn't play a whole lot against us because he only played like first 17 minutes before Valdosta was up like 35 points. So don't remember a ton of Kenny against Shorter, but if you look up Kenny Moore highlights from Valdosta State, about 2 minutes against Shorter. About 2 minutes. He was a dog. He was a dog. Played true corner in college and played a little bit of safety as well at Valdosta State. So 2-time All-American. I think a 4th-round draft pick with Indy. And, 7th season now in the league. He's doing well for himself at 5'9", 190 pounds. But, again, 7 years in the league, played a lot of football. Maybe it's time to draft a replacement.
Oh, maybe.
And maybe one of these Georgia nickels, which I think Bull's going to play in pro ball, is a good fit. Do we have anything else, boys?
I think I'm good.
We have a new GA hire.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right. The damn good dog himself, Prather Hudson. Now, here's the deal.
Professional lady picker-upper.
Word?
You don't remember that?
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember when he knocked down the sideline reporter and tweeted
That's
at her,
him.
I can pick you up anytime?
I thought you were giving me inside scoop that Prather Hudson had some game on
Shit,
it.
maybe. I wasn't around when he was there.
Yeah. Prather Hudson, a guy that waited it out for a long time and then grad transferred to Syracuse?
Illinois.
I always get those two mixed.
Same colors. It makes sense.
But did he get like real PT at Illinois?
Yeah, he played at safety.
He played.
Played at safety for
He
him.
was mainly a special teams. I did the article on it. I was mainly reading up on his bio and things.
Yeah.
He was mainly a special teams guy, but he did get some run at safety.
Real playing time for the Illinois team. Good for him, and a solid addition to come back onto the staff. So it's 2 GAs now that have been former players for Georgia, or for Kirby in particular.
Yes.
Warren Erickson being the other one. And then obviously Jarvis is on the staff, but he didn't play for Kirby. What other former players? Mike Bobo on the staff.
Yeah.
Hartley graduated here, did not play here.
No, did not.
McClendon has now left the staff.
Yeah.
Schumann's an Alabama grad. Muschamp played here, graduated here.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. I think that's it.
That's it.
There might be a couple on staff.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Analyst staff.
Yeah,
Can't
there's a
name
couple
all
of
of 'em.
analysts that
Yeah.
were walk-ons and stuff.
Like 90% of the beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh.
That's a fun fact about Georgia's beat reporting. Like all UGA grads,
Hey, man. It's a tough place to leave, all right?
except for your boy.
Tough place to leave.
It is a hard place to leave.
Yeah, man, Athens is cool.
It is.
I can't wait for our weekly segments of what I learned driving down Millage to return this fall.
I do miss those segments.
Probably going to see some new debauchery.
We take drives down Millage still. Almost every single day. Not
Yeah.
every single day.
Hell
Once a
yeah.
week.
Apparently, Keon Saab to Bama just confirmed. So says the chat. But you never know how truthful the chat is during live
We're not
shows.
getting got.
Yeah. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be it for us tonight. We will see you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.